Steph Curry might run for president. Something he mentioned last week after his 36th birthday. And it got me thinking, is he bigger than basketball? What makes you bigger than basketball? And who is bigger than basketball? LeBron James because he opened up a school? Michael Jordan because of his shoes? Or Magic Johnson because he has AIDS? So I spent hours researching and found out Shaq is my new GOAT. But before you find out why, you should know. My name is Roti. I love basketball, I love to talk basketball, and I hope one day you can share that same love for basketball as I. Before I present my list of 3, what does it mean to be bigger than basketball? In the NBA, there are tiers to stardom that each player fits in. You have your nobodies, players unheard of who might play during garbage time but spend more time on the bench. Then you have your role players, the guys that have one job: shoot threes, set screens, play defense, etc, etc. Above them, you have the super role players. Now they take their role very seriously. Given more touches and playing time, they're likely to actually be all-stars. This is your prime PJ Tucker, your Dennis Rodman, or your Derek Whites. Then there are the franchise players, all-stars. They are fan favorites, recognized for their talents on the court, and they are key to winning. But they need superstars. The guys that can be number 1 on a championship team. Jokic, Giannis, Steph, LeBron, and the list goes on. Some of these guys have won and some of these guys haven't. But these players are one-man teams. They have proved over and over again, without an all-star or star role players on their team, they can swing games in their favor. These players win playoff games on their own. Feel free to judge my categories. I welcome the criticism. Honestly, I want to hear your opinions, your thoughts. What are your tiers? Those bigger than basketball have a global impact. Due to their success in the sport, be it championships or style of play, their basketball portfolio's success travels beyond borders. They are superstars that have had successes beyond the sport, be it business, acting, music, fashion, or even education. To be bigger than basketball, you must have influence. Some non-superstars, maybe all-stars who have little influence, have tried to jump industry and had some success, but superstars in those fields overshadow them because of their influence. For example, Russell Westbrook, former MVP. He has had a school now for 2+ years, but no one's really heard about it. However, the moment LeBron announced that he had a school, it was everywhere on the news. Westbrook simply wasn't a big enough star for the media to follow outside of basketball. Although these players will never be as big as they are in basketball, they have been sure to make dents in other fields. Now, with that being said, let's get into a list of these 3 players that are bigger than basketball. At number 1, it's the GOAT with no left hand, Michael Jordan. He could honestly have his own video, but here are a few points. Michael Jordan is widely disputed as the greatest of all time. When it comes to the sport alone, Jordan has accomplished all that you can. Jordan's success, swagger, and game took the NBA to new heights. The NBA became global once he arrived. His dunks, smiles, and personality made him the perfect marketable star. In addition to his 6 NBA championships and 5 MVPs, the Jordan brand argument is uncontestable in the GOAT debate. His impact on pop culture has not been replicated in any other sport, and its effect on the culture has lasted 40 years. His first shoe was released in 1984, and since then, players in all sports can suddenly now affect wider fashion trends. His entrepreneurial success allowed him to build beyond the sport. Now leading his brand, they create apparel and sponsor icons in most sports: boxing, baseball, and even football. At times you even see him sponsor whole college teams. His shoe series started a trend of shoe collectors across the globe. Having one of the longest running sneaker series of all time, his brand brought
to $3.6 billion, according to Forbes,
in 2020, partly responsible to the Last Dance documentary, only highlighting the power of his name and his story. And I'll talk about that more later. His shoes alone have made him bigger than the sport. When it comes to black culture, having a pair of Jordans in the 80s or 90s was like owning an iPod Touch when it was first released. His brand became a symbol of status, featuring in music videos, TV shows, movies, and even a replacement for suit shoes at a White House inauguration. Brand alone has made him bigger than basketball, and it continues to grow. But let's not forget about him being a movie star. Michael Jordan blended sports, entertainment, and branding in a new way. He arguably has the best sports movie of all time. Space Jam. The story is about him being called upon by the Looney Tunes to join their starting five and beat the Monstars who threatened to take over their world. His influence expanded beyond the court. As a kid growing up, I can't even explain how amazing it was to watch this for the first time. I can remember that dunk where, he jumps, he stretches his hands, and I kid you not, from that moment I was like, nah, damn, basketball's cool, man. Because it felt believable at the time. I wish I could go back and watch it for the first time again. Space Jam was iconic with a great soundtrack and storyline. Warner Bros. Took an iconic cartoon, the Looney Tunes, took an iconic star, and suddenly the movie was a masterpiece. You know what else was a masterpiece? The Last Dance. After The Last Dance, the Jordan mentality went beyond basketball. Us as basketball fans knew about his killer mentality, but the world didn't. After hearing the stories and watching him speak on it, businessman Stephen Bartlett decided that he wanted to have a Jordan poster in his house to remind him of how to approach his work. This is an example of how Jordan's mentality went from the sporting world to business, transcending his original industry of sports. Now, I could continue to say more, but as you can see, Michael Jordan is global. He was the face of basketball in the 90s and was the face of sneaker pop culture. His success with Jordan Brand made him a billionaire, and he continues to push his brand and his business ventures to still remain relevant 20 years later. The next player is also someone's GOAT, LeBron James.
Behind the scenes of this more, so
I'm not going to sit here and do the GOAT debate. I'm just going to shed some light on LeBron's greatness that goes beyond the sport. When it comes to social activism in the US, LeBron may be the leading sports figure. And continuously being empowered by Nike, especially after having a lifetime Nike deal, we continue to see his presence and voice in different matters. LeBron chooses to speak from his high horse. It's no secret that he has a lot of power and influence. When it comes to social justice, he speaks out on it, and all you can do is applaud. Many players in his position are scared to speak due to loss of endorsements or upsetting the fan base. When there is a struggle in the black community, he will always make sure to highlight it, whether it's a racial injustice, presidential matters, or in support of another icon trying to make a stand, such as Colin Kaepernick. And you can do the same if you just subscribe, helping me get another idea out. Okay, back to the video, sorry. LeBron built a school for kids at risk in his hometown of Akron. With his power and influence, he was able to unite investors and build the I Promise school that tries to help not just the students, but their families. They pledged over $41 million to guarantee free college tuition to the University of Akron after they graduate. This news set the tone for how athletes should be giving back to their community in America. He invests in the people, and he sees that lasting economic development should be at the heart of his journey. He pledged to deliver over $100 million to support the black community over 10 years. This is through his foundation and Spring Hill Company, focusing on media representation, education as mentioned, and general development. That line from Jay-Z that says, "I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman." Yeah, LeBron can actually say that. His free agency movements affect market dynamics. When he joins a team, not just the value of the team is boosted, but so is the local area. A report in 2017 stated that restaurant revenues within a mile of the Cavs arena was boosted by 13%, and employment rose by 23.5%. When LeBron made the decision in 2010, Twitter had over 2.5 million mentions, increasing the overall popularity of the app. His power and influence gave him a lifetime deal with Nike, apparently worth over $1 billion that he signed in 2015. But his business doesn't just stop there. He is an original investor in Blaze Pizza and now has a stake worth over $35 million. He has his foot in MediaWorks, with his company Uninterrupted creating shows that give us access to athletes all over the globe. And talking about all over the globe, he has a stake in the Liverpool football team and has also been involved in media projects such as Top Boy. And there are many more that I haven't mentioned. But there's one thing that you take away from this, it's that LeBron's voice has allowed other athletes to realize how empowering they can be and how much influence they have, not only in their field, but outside of their field. He does this all whilst being a true role model, whether it's politics, business, or media. He truly goes beyond the sport of basketball. But my GOAT is greater. Shaquille O'Neal. Basketball fans know him as the monster on the court and is widely known as the most dominant in NBA history.
The ball into Shaq. He's going to the hole. Slam!
He's a 5-time NBA champ and Hall of Famer who is, as this video would suggest, bigger than basketball. Literally. You might have heard Shaq talk about a marketing class that he once took that made him change the way he thought about branding entirely. If there's anything that you can see in his current career, he definitely paid attention in that class. Shaq has had his foot in many industries, but I'm going to stick to music, acting, his business career, and the one thing that makes him my GOAT. Did you know he's a dubstep DJ? He's not just one that plays with decks in his room, but he's one that has played in front of hundreds and thousands of people at Tomorrowland in Belgium. They tried to make him a guest DJ and he said no, so he did a few smaller festivals and he proved himself. And this was the birth of DJ Diesel. Did you know he's also a rapper? Shaq signed a $10 million deal and released 3 albums. In fact, the album Shaq Diesel went platinum, getting 1 million listens. Let's add some context. It's not now where we have an app on our phone and it just takes a couple of days to get a couple of streams. Back then, it was the radio, or it was store-bought listens. Shaq was so good, he had your favorite rapper's favorite rapper, Biggie, Ice Cube, and Nas on a track. But did you know he had a song with Michael Jackson? You honestly cannot make this up. So already alone, you can see that Shaq is a big entertainer, literally. And that's why he's been casted more than any other NBA player in movies to pretty much play himself. But he did also have a solo movie titled Kazam, which is pretty bad apparently. But it couldn't have been that bad because he would still get casted again. His larger-than-life personality made him an ideal target for a character that you needed to see on screen. That's why Shaq will always have a place on TV. Basketball fans know him for his humor and expertise on TNT's Inside the NBA. But what about Shaq Versus? Challenges celebrities in their own field of expertise. Shaq's big challenge, helping kids improve their fitness and their health. And he also had a reality TV show, which I think already speaks for itself. Shaq has featured in many other shows, but those are the ones that he starred in and was a regular on. He is also a regular in commercials, having endorsed over 150 companies. Anytime I go to America and I turn on the TV, for some reason this guy's on the TV, endorsing one other product, and it's something new every single time. He's a business mogul. If he likes a product, he wants in. His portfolio ranges from food to fitness to insurance and even tech. Shaq was an early investor in Google and an investor in Apple. Owns 155 Five Guys, making up 10% of their portfolio, and has partnered with 24 Hour Fitness to build a Shaq Fitness Center. But I tell you what really makes him the GOAT. When he decided to leave his $15 million Reebok deal.
Why don't you motherfuckers make a shoe that's affordable? And I thought about it. And I was like, you know what? She's right.
To partner up with Walmart, providing affordable basketball shoes for underprivileged kids all over America. He plugged a gap in the market while serving his community. These days, athletes might have an affordable line, but in reality, they are still expensive for the average individual. Michael may have influenced people to love the game. Bron may have empowered players in the game. But Shaq enabled those that couldn't afford to fall in love and play the game. That's what makes Shaquille O'Neal my GOAT. And that is it for my players bigger than basketball. If you agree, let me know down below. If you disagree, let me know down below. But if you enjoyed the video, please drop a like, and I guess until next time.